So I've got a couple of questions to cover today, and basically what happens is once people start to become inspired and really realise how much of a part they play with nature and nature plays with them, and how there's no us in nature, we are nature, everything's all interconnected. And when people start to get a feel for how important the little microbes are in the soil, how important soil is for us, the water, the air we breathe, the food, the trees, the animals, everything, how it affects us, and once they're inspired to eat organically and really take care of these sorts of things, then they start to express quite a lot of anguish as to how the rest of the world is treating the earth, and how that's degrading all of the things that are meant to be making them happier and healthier on this planet. So they come to a bit of a conundrum where before they were sort of like ignorance is bliss in their little world, and then they're inspired and opened up to this new world, and now they're realising how much that world is being degraded. So what I'm going to do is just share a vision. I've got obviously a few questions here. I'm just going to answer them broadly and go through a few points for you to think about. And a lot of the visions I have, as I say, it's really starting to open up a lot of new worlds for me, and I'm always trying to think of some, I guess, simple illustrative ways to explain them and help people get more of an understanding of them. So if you at least get an idea that the world, okay, so the world's not an illusion. Everything, even thoughts, are real, right? So the world that we see, it's not that it's not real. It's just that, kind of like a game or a puzzle, I guess, what we see is kind of like something we need to learn around in order to see the greater reality that exists, that, let's call it life or the universe or whatever. And a lot of these things that we get hung up on in this world, it's kind of like these little building blocks and testing grounds for us to really, once we can get around those, and then when we're exposed to the broader reality of life, it means so much more because it wasn't just given to us. We had to kind of learn our way around these illusions. So this is the way I'm going to illustrate this. This is a picture, I'm pretty sure that's in Indonesia because it looks like somewhere I've been, but looks like an Indonesian wave, if you like surfing. Anyway, so let's just call this, this is what we see, right? So we see mountains, we see sky, we see water, we see a lot of things. And what happens is, as you start to get more aware of what exists beyond there, occasionally you'll see little gaps, and the gap might look like that. So what will happen is that, that's probably too big, but the idea is that you'll be looking at reality and just ever so slightly or suddenly you'll see like a gap. It's like a hole. It's like a, not a wormhole or whatever that's opened up, but it's like something where you can see through, and you just know then that there's something beyond that, and you start to see more of these gaps in what you might think is reality. You start to see more of these gaps, and it starts to just really give you a feel for really what's out there, and just a greater perspective as to what you feel now. So just to handle some of these questions broadly, so you've got a world that exists, you've got worlds that exist within worlds. So basically the way I'll explain that is that we have a broad spectrum of, let's say, colours and sounds, but our human eyes and our human ears are only able to pick up a certain frequency that exists. It's a short, it's a fairly short spectrum of a broader spectrum that exists. So just because you can't see these other worlds doesn't mean that they're not there, and they're happening at the same time. So basically, some of these worlds are perfectly pristine and clean ones. And it's just that they exist on a different plane. They exist at a different level of energy, of vibration, of consciousness, or however you want to think of that. And when people are, we've got to fix this, we've got to save this, and we've got to save that, we've got to tell people what to do, and just nobody likes being, I don't like being told what to do. I know nobody likes being told what to do. So that I learned long ago that, I mean, even though I was correcting teachers in the second grade, I learned that it doesn't necessarily mean that you're smarter than other people. And if you want, the best thing you can do is just live what you know to be true. And if you inspire other people to change their ways, then that's awesome. But you're going to have a very hard time telling other people what to do and trying to convince them to do things your way. And more often than not, you're only going to create more internal disharmony for yourself than you are for anything else. And so when you understand that the world is a reflection, the outside is a reflection of the inside, then that's not good, because therefore you might actually be adding to this, to the pollution that you're so vehemently trying to picket against. So a lot of the times that you don't see these other worlds is because you're so busy trying to fix this one, and you're not open to these other levels and these other realms that exist. So the fact is that really, as an individual, you just can't change the world. You'll kill yourself trying to change the world. What you can do is change your internal environment, and this world doesn't necessarily need to be fixed. And the more energy that you're putting into trying to fix something, it's energy that you should be putting into trying to fix yourself. Clean up the inside. I mean, again, it's not a judgment, it's more of an observation, but in my observations, when I come across a lot of these people, and again, I mean, I'm always saying vegans, but it's not that I have anything against them, it's just they're a great example of doing it wrong, I guess. You know what I mean? I don't mean doing it wrong. I just mean they pick it so hard against doing things, and clearly when you're just sort of standing back and watching, there are so many internal issues with a lot of the people that really try to push these things onto other people. And if they could only spend more time trying to clean themselves out, so to speak, then their external world would actually become a lot more peaceful and a lot more vibrant. So the less time you're spending not cleaning yourself out, the less you are to experience and see these other pristine worlds that exist. So what else? I mean, okay, so when I'm talking about worlds without pollution and things, that's another video. I'll actually try to illustrate to you how worlds exist within worlds. So I'll probably do that next one, and that'll be up in a couple of days. But the reason why I guess you and I see this world is because we're not really evolved enough. And I'm happy enough to say that. I'm not evolved enough to live yet in a world that is completely pristine, because I'm not cleaned out enough to, I guess, not mess up a pristine world. So there's a reason why we're all here, and we're here to grow and we're here to learn. And so every time we do that, as I've mentioned in the spiral video, is that we're not trying to grow on a continuum, we're expanding, and our consciousness is expanding. And when we grow and evolve to the point where we're beyond this world, we'll just be living in a world that is pristine, because we'll be pristine inside. So you can, I guess, think of this world as, and again, this is a deep thing to say, and it'll have a video for itself, but it's almost like a training ground for us. It's not, maybe this world isn't ever meant to be fixed. I mean, nature also is a lot smarter than us. And if nature decides that we're screwing this up too badly, it'll basically just get rid of us, scab over, and then grow a new one. And it doesn't matter if it takes 1 billion years, because time doesn't exist in nature. It's not like, oh, I've got to start over again. You know, there's no ego in nature. So I guess to wrap up, you know, it comes down to just being relaxed and being still and being in the moment. The more we're trying so hard to change something outside of us, and the less time we're spending just being still and growing inside and cleaning out from the inside, the less likely you are to see worlds that exist far beyond what you can even imagine from the world that you actually see today. So I hope that brought up just some things for you guys to think about, and some questions you might be able to come up with for yourselves. Start looking for these things. They're there if you look for them. And I will expand on a couple of these topics in future videos. Any other questions, of course, feel free to write in. And thanks for watching. See you on the next one.